welcome to the second game of tonight's stream for the DGL ladder. Hearthstone, that is, of course. We have a game where Azura will be facing off against Dwarf. As far as decks go, Azura for the first game has chosen to play his Shaman. And Dwarf has chosen to play his Druid. The other decks in their arsenal, Dwarf also has a Hunter and a Priest, and Azura rocking a Warrior and a Rogue as well. Dwarf banned Azura's Warlock, and Dwarf's Mage was banned by Azura. Starting with the game, Azura seems to be playing, well, he is playing an Elemental Shaman deck. So far, yeah, didn't get that Firefly that you want early in the game, but at turn 3 you will be able to play his Igneous Elemental, getting that going for a possible turn 4 Servant of Kalamos being coined out. On the side of Dwarf, is he playing a Jade-ish Druid? He decided to Wrath out 1 damage to get that draw and get that taunt off field. Since he's sitting with very high cost minions in his hand. No quest played by either player, obviously, as looking at Dwarf's hand, he's got big minions, and you would expect to see that quest with such big minions in hand, but no such luck. I think this might be a Jade Druid. Again, we have the nice green circle that popped up and is not going away, so we'll see that for the rest of the game. Playing that Lotus Agent and picking the Jade Blossom. Now he has 2, obviously, and he will want to get that out as soon as possible. Maybe even playing 2 in the next round to get that ramp up and his Jades rolling, with the assumption that he has a Jade deck. Oh, lovely. From playing the Igneous Elemental in the next turn of the Son of Kalamos coining out, he was able to pick up the Kalamos, the Primal Lord, an extremely strong Shaman card, and fits very well into the Elemental Shaman deck. Out of all the Elemental decks that are currently in play, because of that Kalamos card, I would say Shaman has the best deck. Because the Servant of Kalamos was a elemental that he played the previous turn. He's able to play another one now and discover, what did he discover? Another Kalamos Primal Lord. That is extremely strong. We'll see if he keeps, if he can play the Hot Spring next turn and then the Blaze Caller after that into the Elemental, the Kalamos the next turn. But he does have the Flame Elementals to activate that whenever he wants to. Dwarf, in return, clearing the board with a swipe and getting Fandral on the field. As well as starting off his Jade Golem roll. He's going to decide to hex the Fandral, which is a very, very threatening card to have on the field. You definitely want to get that off as soon as possible. And dropping down a Hot Spring Elemental. The heal not doing much, but mainly getting it down so that you can play Blaze Caller next turn and it being activated. Dwarf already up to his 4th Jade Golem, getting a 4/4 Jade Golem on the field, as well as his Jade Behemoth with Taunt. And he still has those 2 big, what is that called again? Sorry, Ancient of War in hand, which he can decide to play with Taunt or as a 10/5 minion. Obviously being up to 10 mana because of the 2 Jade Blossoms that he has played already, getting that ramp up real nice. And Azura, as expected, played the Blaze Caller on curve. And it being activated, got the 4/4 Jade Golem off of the field. Dwarf will end up playing one of his Ancient of Wars in attack mode. Presumably to get some damage off before. Well, let's see what Kalamos does. He's going to drop Kalamos, Primal Lord, and it's going to be so great to play a second one on the next turn. He will decide to rather hex the 10/5. I'm not sure what the evocations are. was hoping to see that, if there was one that could have cleared that 10-5 minion. I assume there is not, which is why he decided not to play it. But he still has the Heartspring Guardian, which will activate which will be an activator for Kalamos next turn. Jade Claws, getting him a 1-drop. Kun, the Forgotten King, most likely will refresh his mana crystals, which is what he does, and gets an Ancient War on the field, again in attack mode. Let's see. With the 3 taunts on field, he's playing he's playing the Hex. Well, he's playing the Hex to his advantage, I think. So that his opponent needs to get through it before getting to that 10-5 Ancient of War. Primal Kalamos, the Primal Lord, going down. Restore 12 health. Deal 3 damage to all enemy minions. Deal 6 damage to your opponent's hero. You will decide to deal that 3 damage to his opponent's minions, clearing 2 of the taunts, leaving the 1 at 1 HP, which he can trade that Jade Golem into. Fortunately, will suffer that 17 damage to face, or just the 10 and the trade into Kalamos. We'll see what Dwarf decides to do. Never mind, he does, well, yes, he does suffer the 10 damage to the face, but at least gets that minion off of the board. Dwarf is not left with many options, as he only has 1 card in hand, which will be a loot hoarder, and he can draw off that. Deciding to rather go face instead of attacking, trading into that Kalamos. Feeling the pressure of having having no cards in hand. Will Azura decide to play his second Kalamos? Indeed he will, most likely going for the plus 12 heal. And he seems to be second guessing that decision, rather going... Is he going to trade into that with his face? Oh, okay, lovely. That's very... okay, timely. Interesting. Playing a Patches in this deck, that is... I would say out of nowhere. But it is exactly what he needed. Very, very interesting tech choice right there. Hello Tim, welcome to the stream. Yes, it is my room. I am streaming in my room. How you doing, man? Dwarf getting off his... only now getting his 5th Jane Golem on the field is a 5-5, deciding not to cycle 3 into his already thinning deck. And that... Why is he well plating? Oh, he can drop Kalamos and then that's lethal. For a 6 damage to face, is it? 19... Yeah, that's lethal. Yeah. And he will do just that. If it's not lethal, he has Jade Claws, but I think that is lethal. Definitely lethal. Definitely lethal. First game will then go to Azura. He will decide to play his rogue, and indeed it is a quest rogue. Would you look at that? So far, probably Melian, that fan of knives, but he decides not to do that. Alright, Dwarf seems to be playing a Cthulhu Priest. How nice to see that. Never played Hearthstone. How can you not have played Hearthstone before? You should definitely check it out. I hope that the game between these two formidable gentlemen sparks your taste in the game, and that you would check it out. I would strongly recommend. It is quite a fun game. First turn, as is tradition, Azura plays his quest for his quest rogue. So far, he doesn't have any cycling cards in his hand to get that quest completed. Generally, you don't want to just play cards out you want to wait for either the Pandaren young something, the Pandaren Cycler, or that new Ferryman kind of card, or Shadow Step, or even Vanish, to get your cards on the field and back in your hand, and on the field again, and back in your hand. And if you do so 4 times, you get the Crystal Core, which many say is one of the most broken cards in this expansion so far. It turns all your cards into 5/5 minions. Dwarf getting a Lightwell on the field, which can be quite annoying to deal with, and a constant heal up, and his first Cthulhu buff card on the field in the form of a Twilight Elder. Azura playing his Fan of Knives, trying to cycle and fetch some more cards out of his deck so that he can finish that quest. So far, we don't see him getting there. What is it? It's a Faceless Manipulator. Interesting. That why would you play that in a Cthulhu deck? I don't know. You tell me. And also, Battlecry Silence a Minion. I wonder if that counters the Crystal Core effect, because a lot of things you would expect, well, you don't think of, actually messes you up, such as if you hex a rogue's card after he's completed the quest, he gets a 5/5 frog with taunt. Azura will decide to get one of his South Sea deckhands onto the field in order to, I assume, get. Well, will he trade it into the 4/2 or get the 3/3 off the field? As he decides to get the 3/3 off the field instead, so that the Cthulhu will not be buffed further. He also does not. I assume that's what he wanted, for the face to get healed and not the Lightwell. Up to max, losing that 1 damage potentially. Could have also attacked the. Oh well, anyway, from the Hero Power, having to spend that, yes, but Lightwell being back up to full. Very slow game so far, which is interesting to see from the Quest Rogue. Still no bouncing back cards. Clarence Musson, congratulations on your legendary. Mr. Igle. Vanish will definitely help him with getting cards back into his hand. I'm sure what he would want to do is to maybe draw Preparation and play both Fireflies and then vanish them to his hand. Will he eviscerate the Lightwell? Or get the Cthulhu's Chosen off the field? He'll decide to get the Cthulhu's Chosen off of the field. This is very true that you say there, Smoky T. Blizzard games do not disappoint. I don't think there's any of the Blizzard games I do not enjoy playing. Even though I've not spent much time playing Heroes of the Storm, it's still very fun and interesting. Northshire Cleric onto the field, which would cause him to draw a card every time the Lightwell also heals any of his opponent's minions. So if he attacks Lightwell and that card with 2 of his 1/1s, and his opponent and Lightwell triggers, yeah, he can get some nice draw there. Very interesting card to get. Shadow Step in hand, now giving him further opportunity to bounce cards back into his hand. But how will he choose to do this? 2/2 into his quest, as he has his second South Sea deckhand in play right now. Question is, will he decide to Shadow Step that to his hand? Yes, indeed he will. As the next turn, he will be able to. He probably won't play that now, because he would want to vanish next turn after he played it. Well, play it next turn, vanish it to your hand, and then play it again, as he will have 7, just enough to get to finish that quest. Still now dropping 2 Fireflies onto the field. Those will become 5/5 minions very soon indeed. Just be very careful when he... Yes. Be very careful not to get too many minions on the field, so that when he vanishes, he doesn't get a full hand. Because if you get a full hand and you finish your quest, you lose the crystal core. There we go. Very, very difficult. Well, not difficult, but very tricky that he has to manage his hand at this point in time. We haven't been speaking too much about Dwarf's hand, and I apologize for that, as we have been looking at how Azura will finish his quest. Quite a bit of thought going in there. Holy Nova, enabling him to clear 3 of the minions of the field, which he will decide to do, I think. That will, however, get a draw for Azura in the form of the Northshire Cleric when his Lightwell is healed by Holy Nova. He seems to be spending too much time thinking about that, though, as he seems to be considering silencing, I assume, the Northshire Cleric. No, he decides not to do that, and he goes for it anyway. He will inner fire his Lightwell to make it a 5/5 minion. I assume he was waiting for that. What is the combo with inner fire would be? I cannot remember. The South Sea Deckhand then is getting played. Please attack his face before you vanish. It'd be smart, well, it would be preferable to prep vanish. No. Actually, it's fine to do that. As he can prep the crystal core next turn, which would be a 3 cost then. He cannot prep it now, you need 2 mana, since preparation only reduces it by 3. Then you need 2, that'll cost him 2, and then you can do the math yourself. Thoughts on Battlegrounds? Battlegrounds is an extremely fun game, but with the lag, it is quite annoying. And the game is buggy AF. So hopefully they fix it soon. They've been releasing patches. Let's just hope they keep doing that. We'll probably see Azura get a... Okay, he's going to backstab first, and then decide not to prep and Crystal Core, and instead just play Crystal Core. Perhaps a misplay there, however you want to see it, as he would have been able to get more value out of this turn if he had just played, well, if you have prepped. Would he have been able to play? Yes, he would have been able to play Igneous Elemental as well, but that's fine, not the end of the world. He decides not to play the Stone Toss Boar and take it a little slower. Dwarf getting a second inner fire. Unfortunately, he could not get it next turn to get that 7/7 Lightwell up. What will he decide to do? He can silence one of his opponent's minions, or he can copy one of them. He'll decide to copy the South Sea Deckhand and heal his face. Not many options on his side. It's quite a mixed match deck on Dwarf's side, as he had some Cthulhu cards, but now many other cards, trying to mash 2 deck types into each other. The Inner Fire, and then the other one that doubles your HP. I cannot recall the name of the spell right now. And some Cthulhu cards. The question is, did he do that out of lack of cards, or why? Azura getting Stone Toss Boar onto the field. You can Shadow Step that. You will not Shadow Step that. Interesting choices, I guess. There we go. That is the other card we were waiting for. The Divine Spirit. He's going for a Miracle Priest mixed with a Cthulhu Priest. And that, I think, will be game. I wish he had silenced. I want to see if that actually works. If a minion still becomes Huh, interesting. Why not? Get a interesting way to deal with that card, but that will then be game. Very, very interesting way to deal with that card. Going back to this game, Azura is now playing a Taunt Quest Warrior. As I said earlier, one of the most ridiculous decks that you come out of this expansion so far, along with the Quest Rogue and the Quest Priest. Haven't seen a lot of those around, actually. The few I've seen, I've lost against miserably. And Dwarf again trying his Jade-ish Druid. It's a mix. I mean, Kun, the Forgotten King, is not really a Jade-ish deck card, but he definitely has quite a few Jade cards in his deck. Azura on turn 3 already. Probably, well, he will not play his first taunt and instead get some more draw on, some draw on the field in the form of the Acolyte of Pain, being able to trade that into the low cost Golem, Jade Golem cards. And that seems, well, it's probably what he will end up doing, unless that is a 3 damage Wrath. I think that is what it is. He decides to burn his first Wrath on the Acolyte of Pain, getting a Whirlwind for Azura. So far, it's not clear what variation of this deck he's playing, but who was the streamer? I think Trump. No, it wasn't Trump's deck. Anyway, the Whirlwindy Sleep with the Fishes Taunt Quest Warriors is probably what this is. He decided to play his Druid of the Claw in charge mode and taking the first attack to keep the minions still on the board and get the Bloodhoof Brave off of the field. And execute in the hands of Azura could mean the death of that Druid of the Claw, but he will most likely not be playing it, and instead getting his second taunt, taking the quest on to 2 out of 7, and he will do just that by in the form of the Direhorn Hatchling. Very, very cool card in this expansion so far. Shuffling a 6/9 Direhorn with taunt into your deck when it dies. Second Jade Golem on the side of Dwarf's board, along with a 3/6 taunt. And at 6 mana, he is able to play one more of his taunt cards. Which one will it be? Which one will it be? Will he execute? Seems he will execute. Executing the taunt, the 3/6, which is, what was a 3/3, and getting his third taunt minion onto the field. The options for Dwarf at 7 mana. He's going to Wild Growth and perhaps a Lunar Vision is what we will see. Instead, he will get his Ancient War on the field, most likely in taunt mode. Yes, that is exactly what we will see. Turning 2 of his golems into the Direhorn Hatchling, shuffling a Direhorn Matriarch into Azura's deck. There we go. And that confirms the Sleep with the Fishes variant of this Taunt Warrior deck. The difference between the two being that this deck focuses on Whirlwinds and Sleep with the Fishes, dealing 4 damage. I mean, for 3 cost, dealing 4 damage to all minions on your opponent's side of the field is quite a decent clear in most senses. Yeah. And the other focusing on more of a late game with Deathwing in the deck. Or you never know. This could be a mixture of both. Luckily drawing his Direhorn Matriarch. I believe this deck runs 1 Hatchling. So, yes. And he will use that combo I just discussed or spoke about. A 4 damage on the board, getting quite a few of Dwarf's minions off. But that Ancient of War standing strong, and the 4th Golem we'll see going down onto the field. Will he decide to now play Lunar Visions interesting card as well. Draw from the new expansion. I'm pretty sure. Draw 2 cards. Minions drawn cost 2 less. You would generally want to play that as early as possible. At 10 mana, you will, however, decide to play the Kun King. White Eyes is quite a strong card to pick there, and he can drop it as well, but instead will adapt his minions. Sitting, how many cards is he sitting at? 17. It's still quite a bit. I mean, if you were half your deck, maybe White Eyes would be a better idea to get that 10-10 out as well, and he will adapt them to have Wind Fury. Using the Ancient of War to get 2 of those minions off the field. And unfortunately, the 2 minions he is left with does have Wind Fury, but cannot attack yet. So if Azura plays that down, it can... There's only 7 damage to face because of the having to trade 2 minions into it. Still standing strong with those 2 Lunar Visions in hand. Okay, well, yes, I forgot about the Euro Power. He will then get 17 damage onto the face of Azura. But still standing strong with those 2 Lunar Visions in hand. His deck could be 4 cards less. Not that many options for Azura so far. Looking very much, well, very strong for, well, there is, what am I saying? Definitely an option, and finishing the quest. Sorry, brain just slowed down there to crawl. Finishing his quest and getting Sulfurous on into his hand. Next turn, most likely going to pop that out. Will we see Dwarf finally playing one of his 2 Lunar Vision cards? Indeed we will. Let us see what he draws. Minion and a minion. That brings it down by a cost of 2. Not helping him. Oh gosh. Interesting time. Interesting time indeed. Playing both of those Lunar Visions and getting a fuller hand with some cheaper minions that he can only play next turn. Attacking into the Daihon Matriarch. Let's see Sulfurous in the hands of Garrosh. And 8 damage. Well, okay. Not 8 damage to the face yet. But Wind Fury would be the best choice there by far, which he will decide to do. And he will not play Sulfurous as of yet. Being 5 cost next turn to deal 14 damage to face. But then again, Dwarf now has the opportunity to play some minions, which is exactly what he will end up doing. Not playing his 2 Jade Spirits, which would get him a 5/5 and a 6/6 Jade Golem, I think. Let's see. Oh, he is playing Deathwing, so it's a mixture of both. Yeah, 5/5 6/6. It's he took the best parts of each of those 2 deck warrior quest archetypes floating around at the moment. That being an error, I do not know why. That is game. And that will be a 3-0 for Azura. Congratulations to Azura winning 3-0 against Dwarf. And that'll bring us to the end of tonight's DGL games.